And I would like to welcome everyone. Today is a very special day, and I would like to welcome you to this event on menopause. Let's talk about it. I am Marilena Heinrich, coordinator of the Women's Informal Network. And today, together with Lynn Robertson from the OECD Women's Network, we are going to launch the Menopause Coalition. And what that is exactly, we will hear in a minute. So the idea of this is because too often women are or feel left alone when they are approaching the phase of premenopause or menopause. And so the idea behind this is to really support women. And that is basically the scope of our Women's Informal Network, is to support each other, and in particular, women working in the international development sector. And so today we have this joint event, and we are very pleased to welcome you. We will have the possibility, and we have here Sylvia Becker-Hill, women's empowerment coach from California, and she will actually be guiding us through some of the background and thinking about menopause. And we also have here with us today Hanna Olivas, who is the CEO of She Rises Studios, that she has founded together with her daughter. And she is empowering women. She is an editor and a coach and is doing a lot of things to improve women's lives. And we also have other authors of the book called Redefining Menopause, Finding Strength, Balance, and Joy in Your Next Chapter. So this is something that, and thank you, Sylvia, for showing the cover page of the book. And this is something that we will dive into. And then we will have the possibility to break out into breakout groups to have specific questions answered, and the discussions in small groups, and sharing and listening to each other and learning from each other. And then we will continue with the plenary at the end. So with this, I would like to hand over to Lynn for some opening remarks. Lynn, over to you.
Thank you very much, Maria-Elena. And first of all, I really would like to thank you and Verschitre and Win for supporting this initiative. I don't know whether to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening, because I think there's people from all over the world. So I'm just going to start by saying hello. And it truly is very much a pleasure, this event. It's the first gathering of our informal coalition on menopause in international organizations, hosted by WIN and the OECD. So let me just step back and tell you how all of this started and how we ended up here where we are today. So it really began informally during COVID. And what happened was I organized a small lunchtime session at the OECD after doing some of my own research, just reading, listening, and trying to understand what just was happening with my own body. And while I was doing my reading and research, I noticed something striking, which is for all of the workplace conversations we have around mental health, around burnout, even around motherhood, pregnancy, I had never heard the word menopause said in the OECD context. And I even did a research back on our documents. We have a system that has our documents online going back to the 80s, and I found only one mention of the word menopause, which was in some sort of a chemicals document from 1986. Menopause just was never mentioned at the OECD. So I scheduled a session, and I thought maybe I might get a handful of women coming and cameras would be off and we would all be quietly curious. But for us, really, menopause still was very much a taboo word. I was so surprised how many women showed up, and it turned out that I wasn't alone. There was many of us who had been waiting for somebody to say something first, somebody to break the ice. And the more I spoke to colleagues then in other international organizations about this session I'd organized at the OECD, the more I realized that this experience was widespread across other international organizations. Different organizations, different countries, but there's the same silence, the same stigma, and the same lack of workplace support. So today it's about shifting that. We're here to start a new kind of conversation. And this isn't a medical seminar. It's a space for us to reflect, to listen, and to think together about how we can best support each other. So I encourage you to do this with openness, with warmth, and maybe some humor about what you've gone through and what you are going through, because while menopause is serious, it doesn't have to be miserable and it doesn't have to be lonely either. So let me just finish by saying that menopause is it's not niche. It affects over 1 billion women globally and growing numbers in our organizations as we see increasing gender equality. So inclusion, dignity, and visibility should stretch across all stages of life, including midlife. So thank you for being here, for showing up, and for helping shape what this coalition can become. And as I saw that the OECD women, we shared these same challenges, I felt that we really needed to come together. And I labeled it this IO coalition on menopause. I really have to thank Mary Elena for jumping on board very quickly. When I posted on LinkedIn about it, I think she was the very first person who responded and said, Win, we're in it. What can we do together? So thank you very much, and let's get started.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for actually launching this and having the spark. It's beautiful. And with this, I would like to hand over to Hanna Olivas, the CEO of She Rises Studio and the mastermind behind the book, Redefining Menopause. Please, Hanna, over to you.
Well, good morning. At least that's what it is over here. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I just want to thank everyone who put this together. It's such an important topic. So I created and produced the book Redefining Menopause really from a place of desperation. I was already diagnosed with a cancer diagnosis, and I still felt that there was something off. And when I would explain to my doctors, to family members, they all kept telling me it was just part of the process of treatments, et cetera. But what really was happening was I was also going through the beginning stages of menopause. And this was something that was very unfamiliar to me because as a young girl, I was raised by my grandparents, and that was nothing that was spoken or taught. So I was left feeling very alone, very ashamed of the symptoms that I was feeling, and really with no one to talk to. So I started journaling, doing my own personal investigation of the symptoms that I was feeling. And I finally realized and spoke to someone way smarter than me. And she said, "You're going through menopause, and this is who you need to talk to. This is the type of doctor you need to see." But it was deeper than that because I also felt like I was losing some of my identity as a woman, because the stigma that was out there was, menopause is ugly. It means you're coming to the end of the road. And after really traveling some crazy waters, I realized that it is a beautiful transition and that our bodies are so smart and so amazing that it's almost not a warning sign, but letting us know the symptoms and things that we feel, that this is a part of what our bodies do. And so if we were able to speak about it freely and understand it better without being shamed, or made to feel like we're crazy or all those things that happen, we get accused of having moods and attitudes. I thought, you know what, we need to write about this. We need to share about this. And anyone and everyone I told that I wanted to create this book said, "What do you know about it?" And I said, "Well, I'm in the thick of it, so I know a lot." So we have 22 incredible women in this book who have shared their most intimate details of menopause. And I just want to say one last thing, that menopause, I hope every person looks at it differently, feels open to share, and just know that it is okay to say you're going through it, and it is nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you very much, Hanna, for this very inspiring background and rationale and reason why you have started this and created this beautiful book. And in the invitation, we said that it wasn't mandatory to read the book before the event, but I really encourage everyone to read it, no matter in what stage of life you are, whether in still young and the menopause is far away, or still or already in it. It can, of course, always be an inspiration. So thank you so much. And now I would like to hand over to Sylvia Becker-Hill, Women's Empowerment Coach. And we have had you here in the Women's Informal Network several times already, Sylvia, and thank you for coming back. Always, Sylvia is also an author, editor, and wife, mother, and many, a painter, and many other things. So, Sylvia, over to you.
Welcome. I'm so honored to be again here, specifically with this hot taboo. And I have prepared for you a speech, some slides, some journaling prompts, and then I will lead you into the breakout rooms where you will break the taboo. And in order to do that, knowing that a lot of you are in Europe or even in Asia, so it's already evening or late evening, and we are here in California just waking up fully, I want to give you a moment to literally arrive here in the room, not just with your physical bodies and your ears, but with your full attention. So please allow yourself to take a few deep breaths. Stretch yourself and shake off with your shoulders, hands, and arms, anything and everything from the day to day, so that your attention is fully here. And now, if you like to, you can even lean back. And for a few minutes, the intro of my presentation, if you like, you can close your eyes so that you can just listen and allow the sentences I'm sharing with you to drop in and sense what resonates in you, what thoughts, feelings, but also physical sensations might be coming in resonance with what I'm going to share. The title for today's presentation is The Silencing of Our Fire. When a woman tells the truth, she is creating the possibility for more truth around her. Quote by Adrienne Rich. Let me begin with a question. When was the last time you whispered about your menopause experience, even to a close friend? When did you last swallow a truth about your body, your mood, your needs, because it felt maybe too much, too shameful, or simply unwelcome? A taboo is not merely a social rule. It is an energetic border, a subtle electric fence patrolled by shame and fear. Anthropologists say taboos help cultures manage danger by avoiding it. But in avoiding truth, we exile power. We have made natural things taboo. Menstruation, birth, grief, wrinkles, rage, and yes, menopause. In my life and in my coaching work with powerful women around the world, I've seen how this particular silence shows up like a ghost in the room. Medical systems ignore it, workplaces dismiss it, and even among friends, the conversation can feel awkward. Quote, menopause is not a medical condition. It is a power shift, by Christiane Northrup. And yet, when a woman walks through the fire of menopause, she is not becoming less. She is becoming more distilled, more discerning, more dangerous to the systems built on her silence. My hope is that this conversation lifts the weight of shame and fear women carry into menopause. So many believe it's my fault, I'm weak, I'm broken. But these struggles are not personal failings. They are echoes of an ancient taboo. Yes, menopause happens within our bodies, so it feels deeply personal. But the silence, the guilt, the internalized blame, that's not ours. That's the result of thousands of years of cultural disempowerment. When we begin to see the magnitude of influence wrapped around us, the ancestral, societal, and systemic forces, we can finally stop making ourselves wrong. And when that false responsibility drops away, we don't just feel lighter, we feel free. Ladies, if you had closed your eyes, please open them now and grab your notepad or a journal and have a pen at hand, because I want to give you a framework to understand the complexity and history of the influences on us. So what you see now here on the screen, please give me a thumbs up that my slide shifting change worked. Perfect, thank you. So you see here a model where you now draw on your piece of paper just some kind of figure. I chose, and I show you here a replica of this model. I have it here in my hand. I think I got it from an Etsy store. The Venus of Willendorf. It's a 11.1 centimeter tall, small Venus figurine, they are called, estimated to have been made around 30,000 years ago. And the scientists debate what exactly she is. If she is just celebrating a grandmother, or is she worshipping the goddess of fertility, we will never know. And you choose what you draw in the center. Just put in the center a figure that represents you, and then 6 circles around you for the different layers of influence. And we will start with the outer circle, so leave a bit space between the circles so you can take notes. And the outer circle is this one, and I need to move all you a bit out of my window here. So the human evolution, human history, we had around 7,000 years ago. And when you Google that, there are different schools of thoughts and different scientists debating that. I don't have the time here to go into the details, but the majority agreed that there was a major shift from matriarchal cultures and paradigms where deities of fertility, abundance, nature, Mother Earth, goddesses were worshipped. And at the time, the female body was seen as bestowed with life-giving, birthing powers. The female body was a place of power. After the shift to the patriarchal societies with monotheistic religions and father figures as God, there was the tendency, and that's still part of our culture, to strive for transcending the body and sensuality to purify the mind while defining power as male. So while you listen to me and you have this ring, sense what thoughts, emotions, or physical reactions are coming up and put them into the outer ring for your own note-taking. The next circle, this is based in C.G. Jung, and I have prepared also there a little poster as a gift for you, which Marilena will put the link to for a free download. You don't need to opt in into the chat. The next layer is a so-called collective subconsciousness, according to Jung, which exists for all sorts of groups. There's a collective subconsciousness of all men. There's a collective subconsciousness of all women. There's a collective subconsciousness of different nationalities or religious groups. It's just that today here I'm focusing on the female collective subconsciousness. And we individually have, through our brains, through our subconscious mind, access to that collective subconsciousness, and it influences us, and it's thousands of years old. And in that subconsciousness, there are beliefs. For example, the body is dangerous, sensuality is suspect, sexuality is for others, or pleasure is for others, not for ourselves. Aging equals invisibility. Power must be softened. Fertility defines our worth as women. Menstruation is impure. Oh, menstrual blood is dangerous, and menopause is the end. In the poster you can download, I used those in quotation mark, negative beliefs and turned them around as examples, you can play with it and use it to get into contact with your collective subconsciousness as part of your subconscious mind and rewire it by reframing and changing those beliefs. The next layer of impact, of influence on us and the taboo of menopause is, of course, the culture we live in. We are here a global group. We come from different nationalities, cultures, religious backgrounds, and all these cultures have different beliefs, rituals, and traditions. So think about it. For example, at the time when the participants here with women bodies, when you had the first time your menstruation, was that celebrated in your culture? Was that a family event for a big party? Or was it something shameful you only talked with your mother maybe about, or a sister, to get some support? Cultures vary enormously regarding the different transitions when a girl grows into a fertile woman and later. And those cultures, they impact how we personally feel in our body when it comes to menopause. The next, we're getting closer and closer to ourselves, are all the conversations we had in our life. Maybe you never had one. Maybe you had a lot. Most conversations happen with friends, offline, meaning in person, or nowadays online. Maybe you found an online group where you felt safe enough to have good, deep conversations about menopause. They do exist. So think about how these conversations, hearing from other women's experiences, how that has shaped you and your relationship with menopause. The next layer, of course, our family. And here for most women, it's their mother or mothers, depending how you grew up, and there were maybe a divorce and you had multiple mothers, grandmothers, sisters, aunts. Was that talked about? What did you see? What did you witness? What kind of beliefs or rituals or attitudes have you watched as a child, as a girl, growing up, as a teenager? And how were the reactions in your family to you becoming a fertile woman? And last but not least, your personal experience, where you are in that journey, age-wise, physically, health-wise. So these are the layers of your taboo influence profile. All of us will have a completely unique influence profile because we all have all these different influences and we have all a neuro unique brain, and therefore all these influences will show up differently. So now, before we go into the breakout rooms, let me tell you where you will focus on in the breakout rooms. And no worries, I give you time to prepare them. In the breakout rooms, you will focus not on all 6 layers. We don't have the time here today. You will focus on the cultural lens, the family lens, and the personal lens. So the 3 most, well, there's a conversation in the middle, but some of the closer internal links. And here are our questions. And Marilena will give those questions also in the chat. And I give you now, I will stop talking for a while. I want you all to write down your personal notes first. So it's about a minute you have per each. The cultural lens. Please write a few notes. What was your experience of menopause within the culture you were born into? What stories, silences, or judgments did you absorb? And I'm giving you around 50 seconds time to answer that now so that we stay on track with our time. So I'm quiet. Please take a few notes. Please come to an end with your notes for your cultural lens. And we are switching to the next lens, your family lens. What was your experience of menopause with your family of origin? What messages did your mother, grandmother, or older sisters pass down, spoken or unspoken? Please start writing now. Please come to an end with your notes for the family lens, and let's switch to the personal lens. What is your own experience of menopause? Where are you in the journey? Do you even use these terms, perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause? Do you like those terms, or would you prefer different ones? What effects are you experiencing, and what questions or desires do you carry into future conversations? Please, another 50 seconds. Take your notes now. Please come to an end with taking notes for your personal lens. And before I stop sharing here, I want to give some final words before Marilena will send you in your breakout rooms. Breaking a taboo is not a small act. When mature women speak the unspeakable, we re-thread our collective tapestry. We begin to teach the world that this season is not the end of vitality. It is the beginning of unapologetic sovereign power. Let the silence end here, and let your story ripple. Okay, thank you for your attention. I trust that you are well prepared. So Marilena is setting up the breakout rooms. We will have some of our authors, you see them with the background where the book is floating in the left corner, will join you. And even if you are in a group with not one of the authors, we will make the group small so that you all have enough time to discuss all three layers of the taboo influences. And when you facilitate it by yourself, please make sure, Marilena will tell us if we still have we will probably have a bit less than 20 minutes. Make sure everyone can go through all three layers and share, and then you have another 2-3 minutes to discuss what you
Vai
heard.
tu e lo fai, io vado da un gruppo all'altro, ok? Thank you so much, Sylvia. This was very, very inspiring and interesting as a self-reflection exercise. I'm going to create 21 breakout groups, and you will be randomly assigned. So the 6 co-authors of the Redefining Menopause book that I can see here, Hanna, Marva, Kilian, Jen, Heather, and Sylvia, I will reassign you to make sure that not 2 of you end up in one group and others without, okay? So I will create the groups now. Please join them immediately so that we can get going. And then, as Sylvia said, we will have about 20 minutes to discuss. And you have the questions in the group chat because I shared them. Are there any questions before we go off? Any burning questions? Anything for clarification? You can always use the chat. If you have
Britta Michael Dubrov is one of the authors. She joined us late and seems not to have the green background. So Marilena, if you need another facilitator, Britta Michael, can you wave so that Marilena sees you? So that Britta could be one of the facilitators as well.
Okay. And in the meantime, the numbers are going down. So I'm going to create less groups just to make sure that we have the right number of people. Okay, so I'm opening the groups now.
I was in a group with another author, so I came back out to see if you wanted to put me in a different one.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Okay. Yes, I know there's a lot of people, so.
Yes, I will send it to group 6.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So are we expecting someone else or no? It's only the 3 of us. Or this is my family. Ladies, can you please join some of the groups that you have been assigned to?
There was no one in my group.
Sally, I changed your group. You're now in room 19. You should be able to join it.
Ah, now how would I do that? Join breakout. Okay, thank you.
Veronique?
Yes, I just arrived. Sorry. I'm just coming out from another meeting. I don't know where we stand and what's going on, so I'm not sure I can contribute. But congratulations again.
Anna, Patricia, Joanna, Katja, Grantham, can you please join your groups?
Marilena, are you assigning me to a group, or I just wait for the plenary session? Actually, I have to leave by 6:15 letters.
That would be okay for you to be able to discuss because it's 20 minutes. I don't see you and okay, yes, I can send you to a group. Hi, Afshan. Can you please join group 1? I assigned you. Joanna, Patricia, Anna, Katja, Grantham, can you please join your groups?
Welcome back, ladies. Welcome back. Welcome back. While the rooms are closing, please reflect on what you have heard, what you shared yourself. And please, without mentioning any names, we treat the breakout rooms as an intimate, safe space where we don't talk about what we heard with names. But I want you to share in the chat room, please, here through writing, what do you take from the experience today? What do you take for yourself as an insight about menopause and the situation globally of us women? Please write in the chat. What do you take from today, your personal takeaways? Don't share other women's information. Don't share intimate things from the breakout rooms, that stays private. But please share in the chat room, what do you take with you? What are your insights, your realizations? Please share that in the chat room, because we sadly don't have the time to hear from all of you. I see in some faces that there were some touching conversations going on. I see even some teary eyes, some softened cheeks. I have goosebumps looking at all of you. I had the most intimate, amazing conversation, I think, of my life I ever had with two women I've never met before. We were so radically intimate. We talked about things, you'd hardly talk with your doctor or husband about. So, yeah, thank you for everyone who dared to open your heart to other women here, and also who dared to be taboo breakers. And so please write into the chat box what you're taking here from today. And I start reading here a few. And the host here, Marilena and Lynn, you interrupt me because I know we have to soon also close the whole evening. So I just start reading and you interrupt me when our time is really over and you have some announcements to make. So I start here with Marilena. My takeaway is that depending on your doctor's approach, you may have one experience or a completely different one, because there are still so big differences in the approaches. Helene says, we are going through very different experiences, some very challenging, some other empowering. What helps is finding a space to share. Yes, exactly. This is why we're here. Matsani says there's a shared collective pain and shame which can be dissipated by community. Yes, yes, yes. We should be kind to ourselves as women as we go through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Yes, exactly. Menopause and how it affects your relationship with your partner. Yeah, indeed. Brenda, stop suffering. Go for HRT, human hormone replacement therapy, I think it means. Lynn, it is appropriate for you after a discussion with your healthcare provider, a very personal choice as the response. Ida, gynos not so well equipped and worth seeing an endocrinologist. Very good tip. Maren, no matter where we lived in the world, menopause was not spoken about. Exactly. Let's speak up and make change happen. Yes, yes, yes. Can I have here, ladies? Raise your hands if you agree to things shared here in the chat box. Erin says the healing, empowering power of talking with other women and sharing our stories, lived experience, lessons learned, wisdom from the trenches, and compassion for each other is transformative and a key part of our wellness, healing life journey as women. Yes, Chitra, again, what it means to no longer be productive in that way in society and what it means to your identity. Exactly, yes. Mara, it is important to keep this conversation going. We are just scratching the surface. There need to be more shared spaces. Yes, this is what this whole initiative started here by Lynn Robertson's is all about. Yes, thank you so much. I need to join another meeting. Yep, of course, Simona. Bye, Simona. Jen, I want to thank everyone for the courage to participate in these intimate conversations, to find you're not alone and learn about one another's experiences. Exactly. Bettina, great to talk about our experience today. Wonderful. Heather, educating mothers to daughters is important and needs to be continued through life. Hanna, Olivas, we need more safe and open spaces to share experiences and women to know they are not alone in the shift. Yes, Chitra, how to get rid of that tire around your tummy is so hard now. Yes, Chitra, high five. Alexandra, finding a safe space to discuss menopause challenges. Yes, here we have it. Yes, Erin, never compromise your own health or allow others to do so. If a doctor, healthcare provider does not listen, support you or respect your wishes, or is not knowledgeable or competent, keep going and searching until you find one who treats you as you deserve to be treated and who values you, listens to you, and respects you. Yes, yes, yes. Elizabeth, thank you for this session. Our pleasure and honor. Jane, thank you to the two wonderful ladies. I shared my time today. Yes, yes. Okay. Keep writing, keep reading. I give back here to Marilena and Lynn to take us out. Thank you so much. This is the start of an ongoing conversation. Lynn or Marilena, who goes next? And I want to hear before we leave, Lynn, how are you doing? Because this whole thing here was your baby. Is it to your satisfaction, the starting date today?
Lynn, over to you. And what are the next steps of the coalition?
Thank you, Mary Elena. So I have to say that this idea started because you know, I had a dream. I literally was in bed one night, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if we started an IO coalition? Because that's one thing that's missing from the IO space. Private companies, particularly in Anglo-Saxon countries, have taken great strides to implement menopause policies within their workspaces, but I've never heard of an NGO or an IO that has started to work to integrate menopause policies into their workspaces. So that's where it started from. And it's kind of typical of me is that I had an idea and I just jumped before without really thinking it all the way through what this really meant. And I reached out to women like Mary Elena and Chitra to see if they would be on board. I have ideas for a couple of sessions coming up. I'd like to, and I've been in touch with the chair of our staff association at the OECD, Jeremy Madison, who's a man, and he has supported our menopause sessions. And I was just talking to him because I want to do one on engaging men as allies and bring men into the conversation. I think at the OECD, we've gone as far as we can, just having women-only conversations. And it's now to talk to men who are our managers, our colleagues, who are decision makers, but also our partners, how to do it. The other session I want to do is a very practical one on what good nutrition is to support menopause, what good healthcare is, how to take care of your body, what is a workout. We're told we're supposed to build strength, we're supposed to retain our muscles, but how do we do that? So a very, very practical one on what your plate should look like and what your week of exercise and movement should look like to help support you to be the best that you can. So that's another one I'm thinking of, and I've got ideas to do that one. I want to develop an advisory board of experts so that we are always research-based, data-based, and we are not subject to the flows of influencers or the latest hot gossip about menopause. I want to make sure that we're really anchored in solid data, evidence-driven, as we say at the OECD, support. And I've got some very, very good women who are behind that. I'm looking to ally with another global organization, which is driving forward on menopause policy, who's interested in supporting. So more on that as I work through the discussions. So that's where I am now. A couple more sessions in the pipeline, maybe an advisory group, and would love to hear any ideas which would help and support you as you are in your perimenopause journey and in your menopause journey. Another part too I was thinking of is how do we talk to our children? How do we manage our families during this transition as well? I know sometimes our tolerance levels fall when we're in menopause. So how do we talk within the family? And maybe something that looks directly at our partners, whether they're male or female, and our changing relationship with our romantic partners. So that's where I am now. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to post more on LinkedIn. And that can be a good channel to keep the conversation going. So I'll be working closely with Miralena, I'll be working closely with Sylvia, Chitra, and I've got on board now the Asia Development Bank. I've been in discussions with them, the World Bank, the IFC. I'm looking for contacts at the IADB. They had a great blog out a few years ago. So that's where I'm at, and that's where my thinking's at. And as time goes by, I hope it will become a bit more clearer and a bit more strategic. Thank you, Marilena. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Lynn, again, for sparking this. And I think if we join forces, we are even stronger. And that was the rationale behind having this joint event today. But also, I would like to extend this idea to Hanna Olivas of the She Rises studio and to you all, because as Lynn was saying, it's for you, it's for us. So we have to shape it together. And if you have ideas of who we could bring on board or what we should be discussing in our next sessions, we have open ears and would like to hear from you. So I've put in the chat our email addresses. If you are here new today to the Women's Informal Network and you would like to join us because you are working in the international development sector, please write to me. I've put my email address in the chat, or to the founder of the Women's Informal Network, Chitra Deshpande. We will be happy to bring you on board of the network. And of course, if you are from the OECD, you're probably already in Lynn's Women's Network. And I can see Wadzi has her hand raised, so I would like to give her the floor. Wadzi.
Hi, Marilena. I just thought that I would like to offer a session on celebrating menopause and sharing the African experience, because I heard a lot of negative pain and painful sessions, but I'd like to share the other side where menopause is celebrated, where women are acknowledged, where women are celebrated and women's bodies are celebrated. So I offer to do one session on the other experience where, you know, menopause is not tied to, you know, your body must be a certain body type, but it's actually celebrated that a woman is, you know, robust and, you know, big breasts, and you can breastfeed your child and all that stuff. So I would really like to offer that session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your generous offer, Wadzi. As always, you are the person that jumps on board. This is beautiful. And definitely, yes, we should be celebrating menopause, the new phase in life. And this is also what you will find in the book about redefining menopause, no? The concept of actually embracing and looking at it from a different perspective of accepting and embracing. So thank you, Wadzi. Definitely. Point well taken. Is there anyone else who would like to jump on board and suggest something? We still have a few minutes left before the end of our session. So if you have any ideas or desires, you can speak up now.
Marilena, one of the things that I found very interesting was the definitions. So we had a lady who didn't know what perimenopause was, right? So I think it's really important that we name the thing and people get to understand exactly what we mean from the different terms, right? I had a partial hysterectomy. What does that mean? The difference between a partial hysterectomy and having a full hysterectomy. Let's talk about things like depression and menopause, because I had a very good therapist, a psychiatrist, who actually said your depression may be linked to hormonal imbalances. So I think let's really do the deep dive into the terms, the definitions, what it actually means, what it feels like, and what happens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for being very concrete in your suggestions. Any more suggestions? I can see in the chat people are actually interested, and Lynn shared her email account. So you can, of course, reach out to Lynn to be coming on board of this menopause coalition. Is there anyone who would like to share something more or bring up ideas? Or perhaps I'm calling on our authors of the Redefining Menopause book who are here sharing their time with us. Would any one of you like to jump in and perhaps share a key message, something from your chapters? Hanna, yes, of course, please go ahead. And then Brita. Hanna first.
I just wanted to say that when Zani was talking about attributing menopause, perimenopause to mental health, I would love it if we could focus more on that, because that is something that oftentimes the connection is not made by healthcare individuals. And I personally experienced that. So I think when she said, hey, you know, we need to define the roadway to that, I think that that mental and emotional health needs to be further shared, that there is a connection to the hormone shift, and that that stigma that, oh, you're just going through menopause. It's not just going through, like, we're literally experiencing every ounce of the shift, and we shouldn't just be tossed to the side or, you know, have a title put on us. Like, those things are real and very, very symptomatic. And if there's a way that we would be, as women going through that, be willing to share deeper in that conversation. And that's kind of what my chapter is about, is, you know, experiencing every single aspect of that shift. And I did want to share that there was a beautiful woman in my room today who taught me something. And she said she went from being a queen to an empress. And that, I teared up, because that's the first time I've ever looked at it from that shift. So I just wanted to tell her thank you. But we do need to do a deeper dive in the mental and emotional aspect of menopause.
This is beautiful, Hanna. Thank you so much. And I wish we all could feel to be empresses. Thank you. Britta, would you mind introducing yourself briefly before you make your point, please?
Yes, hello. I'm sorry I didn't make it on earlier. My name is Britta Dubroff. I'm a Canadian. I live on the West Coast, and I'm one of the authors of the Redefining Menopause book. My quick story is that I went into menopause at 39. And so my chapter in the book is about that and how I had very poor doctor care and how I came out of that. So one thing I'd like to just encourage everybody that's still here is to start talking about it earlier than we think. There are a lot of women in their early 30s now that are going through menopause, premenopause, and they don't know it. I think I started even before I had my third child. And so it was a shock for me to be so young. And so I wish there had been a conversation at the time in my early years. And the other thing is with that is, please share your stories to every woman you hear and know, because it's the anecdotal stories and health providers that have helped me most of all. I'm compiling a list in my group, and I have over 50 different symptoms, and they're not all the normal ones. One thing women find is that their teeth bleed and their teeth fall out. Has anybody heard about that in this group? I don't know, but we need to keep talking, because there is more to it than we know about. And I love that Odzani shared that it's not all negative. It certainly isn't negative. It's a powerful time for women. So thank you for sharing that, Odzani. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Britta, for sharing your story and for sharing it in the chapter of the book so that everyone can actually read it and learn. Kili, you had your hand up and now it's down. So
I did, just for a quick comment that I was going to make.
Can you just
It
briefly
really
introduce
ties in.
yourself, please?
Hello, I am Kylie Ann Ralston, and I wrote the chapter called Happily Ever Menopause, because we grow up with all of these ideas around our lives, and then we get to happily ever after, and we're hit with menopause. So everything I do is around changing the narrative and the psychology and the emotional and even the spiritual side of what happens to us in this part of our life as we get into it. So what I was going to say is that it is so important for us to look at this journey from the evidence-driven parts of it to the human experience part of it. And it affects every part of us, our brain, our bodies, our psyche, our emotions, our relationships, our idea of who we are and where we stand now in the world. And I just think it's really important to look at the whole picture. So I love what Lynn is doing with the coalition, and I love what you guys are doing here today. You're all so lucky to have an organization like this where we can all share stories, because stories are so important. The ones we tell ourselves, the ones that we share with each other, and the ones that we step into to share with the generations that are coming up on our heels. So that's it.
Thank you, Kili, really, also for writing the chapter to redefining the menopause and making it a sort of happy place where we can all be. And so I can see that in the chat now, Sylvia has shared the information about the book that will come out as paperback soon and is available as an ebook right now. And we will be sharing the link. Of course, I can already see in my emails popping up about people joining or wanting to join the network. This is beautiful. So the idea, as Lynn was saying, is that this is a kicking off event. More events to come up. And as with Chitra, we used to say is that we rely on our members to come up with ideas, to come up with speakers, to come up with their concerns, so that we can really tailor our events to your needs and to make sure that we target, the topics that are more relevant for you and especially for us in the international development sector. So what are the next steps? Well, Lynn has sort of already talked about the coalition, but from the Women's Informal Network point of view, the next events that we have in the pipeline are one event about strengthening our resilience with a women's empowerment coach, because as you all know, the geopolitical situation right now is a very difficult one. And so a lot of our colleagues are actually facing abrupt disruptions in their work. They are losing their jobs. Sometimes it's a wife and husband working in the same location, losing their jobs from one day to another. So resilience is definitely a topic that we need to talk about. And here as a network, we are here to support each other. So that's why we're going to have one of those events soon. So please stay in touch with us about ideas, concerns, desires, and we will continue the discussion. And I don't know if Chitra would like to make an intervention as well as our founder. We cannot hear you. Yeah.
Sorry, no, thank you, Marilena, and thank you so much, Lynn. It was great. I'm so pleased, and Sylvia, this happened. Like, I think just for those of you who are new to the Women's Informal Network, we like to dream and we like to make those dreams come true. And so we've had dreaming sessions, and from those dreams, our women have wanted to become authors. So they've published books together and are continuing to publish. So congratulations. Maria Elena is a second-time best-selling author of her latest book on kind of memoirs to fathers and appreciation, very appropriate for Father's Day around the corner in the US. But just to say, so please, we really do welcome, and I'm so glad that we made Lynn's dream come true. And it took a few months, but we did it, Lynn, and we'll continue with the coalition. I can't wait for seeing all that we'll do. And I just wanted to also mention that next week, next Monday, we're going to have a hybrid session. And as Marilena said, with the current situation for many of our women working in international development, of course, we're facing sort of changes, and so we'll have a session of you work at the UN, but dream about starting your own business. What I learned from trying. So we have a member who left the UN and started her own business, and so it will be in person for those of you in Rome. So join us in person, but it'll also be hybrid, so you can listen in. So as you can see, we really are listening to you and trying to meet your different needs. Anyway, so thanks so much for joining. I really enjoyed the chat I had with I think a new member for WIN as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chitra, for starting it all off for us. We are about 800 women worldwide. and representing 88 different organizations, international financial institutions, academia, etc., etc. And thank you for the acknolledgement of my second book being a bestseller. I need to acknowledge that Sylvia Becker-Hill actually allowed me to join the project, and Hanna Olivas is the editor of the book. So it's a joint congratulations to all of us. And yes, when we first published the book on You Matter, How Women Reclaiming Their Power Are Changing the World, together with Sylvia Becker-Hill, we had 20 autobiographies of women, 20 women leaders. Thank you, Sylvia, for showing the book. And so there we were telling stories of women, and Wadzi is one of our co-authors as well, because it is important that we share the women's stories. If you think about the fact that on Wikipedia, only 20% of the biographies are of women, this is not okay. So we need more stories out there, and people like Sylvia and Hanna, they make it happen so that more stories can be out there to inspire women. And so the most recent book is Letters to Him. It's an appreciation to fathers, grandfathers, and father figures, so that I am now equal with supporting women, but also thanking men. And with this, I would like to thank you all. I think we always need to keep a balance between fighting for women's rights, but not forgetting about our champions, that are our husbands, fathers, and sons. This is very important. We need to give our sons the good message, because they are the fathers and the leaders of the future, and they need to be on board with us. And so I would like to thank you all for your participation, and I look forward to continuing the discussion all together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay well. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.